What up, peoples? Biddy is my name, and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be going over a cryptocurrency channel from now on, and I'm going to see how that goes. I started feeling that I was probably getting overwhelmed with a lot of things that were happening, and I decided that maybe this is probably a good transition, a good time to transition into trying to be more of a news outlet, as it were. So, one of the first things I want to go over is congressional candidate in New York, Jonathan Herzog. Now, some of you who are in the yanggang know he was one of Andrew Yang's former staffers, and he's also a Harvard alum. He's very, very big on Bitcoin and crypto, as is Andrew Yang. They understand the need for cryptocurrency in this ecosystem. Goes on to say that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have become a growing force in the economy, with some of the world's biggest investors and innovators entering this space. Yet the industry does not have a full-blown representative in government, not in the US government anyway. So again, we know that a lot of things happened back in 2017. There's a lot of regulations that have been getting pushed towards Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency adoption in the world, but especially in the US, things have been it's been very difficult for any kind of adoption in the US to happen because of lawmakers saying that, hey, we don't trust cryptocurrency, we don't really understand it, we only think of the dark web when it comes to cryptocurrencies. It's a lot of bearish kind of sentimentality among them, but mostly because they don't understand it or they haven't figured out a way to profit off of it. And that's kind of like the whole thing, it kind of seems like when it comes to governments, they want to be able to get a slice of the pie. Government says, hey, we don't like this unless we can get paid. At least that's what it seems like. But with this guy named Jonathan Herzog, it seems like he's like, you know what? People have a right to be able to not worry about third-party transactions, like taking their money. They also want transparency. They want to be able to access their funds. There's a lot of things that are great about a cryptocurrency that there's a lot of people in government currently don't know or don't understand, or maybe they do and they're turning a blind eye. So if you are in New York's 10th district, this is a guy that you can be voting for. That he's trying to go against Jerry Nadler. So again, his name is Jonathan Herzog. He says that it's time for a representative at the vanguard of this era's civil rights fights. Okay, our future is decentralized and open source. It's time for deep freedom, not shallow equality for the people. It's time to move New York forward. If you were there while presidential candidate Andrew Yang was running, you would have known that a lot of his policies were very forward-thinking, or president's thinking, as he likes to put it. It's something that's needed for this time. He had over, I think it was like 150, 160 different policies, including body cams for every police officer. There's other ones that, he says that we should integrate cryptocurrency. It was something that was very for the people, especially universal basic income, which would help so many people out. Maybe even, I don't know if it would be like a solution to ending world poverty, but at least it would get us to like a good place, right? So with Herzog, his policies are very similar to Andrew Yang. And the article goes on to say that Yang has since dropped out of the race and thrown his support behind Joe Biden. But during his time in the race, he was a big advocate for UBI as well as cryptocurrency. He said to Bloomberg in January that it's bad for innovators who want to invest in this space. So that would be my priority: clear and transparent rules so everyone knows where they can head in the future, and so we can maintain competitiveness in crypto. So it seems like crypto is it seems like the cryptocurrency space is kind of excited about Herzog, but they're really not sure. It's not really clear enough if he can make a big enough splash in the political landscape, according to the article. Vitalik Buterin tweeted in response to the candidate that New York Democratic congressional candidate supports UBI, civil rights issues, carbon tax, and of course, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and crypto in general. So again, I mean, there's so many people that are coming out for cryptocurrency. Presidential candidate Andrew Yang, Jonathan Herzog, Elon Musk. There's so many people that are really bullish on cryptocurrency, and it kind of behooves us to keep that same enthusiasm, especially in the face of everyone who they either don't know it, don't understand it, or have been, just turning a blind eye in general to the cryptocurrency space. So, we have to remain bullish. I know these past couple years have been very tough on us all. This has been a very difficult bear market for us to begin with. I know myself, the past couple of years, seeing that high of almost 20,000 for Bitcoin and then dropping all the way down to 3,000 has been very difficult, mentally draining. But this is why we're in it, because we understand that it's not about what's happening now. It's about the future. It's about what's happened in the past that got us to where we are now. Bitcoin used to be 3 cents. Then it was $100, then $1,000, then $10,000. We understand that the growth path for a cryptocurrency, is it's so open. There's so much room for growth. And the more congressional candidates the more political figures that are bullish on crypto that we have in government, the better it would be as an ecosystem for everybody. There was other people that were being interviewed on TV not too long ago about how bullish they were on cryptocurrency, and in the rights movements that's going on right now, they say, look, we need to help people out, and first of all, we need to have equal rights for everybody, but we also need to get crypto in everybody's hands. There's only a very small percentage of people that actually do have cryptocurrency, especially in the face of how many people we have living on this planet. So it's mind-numbing to almost think about how many people do not know about cryptocurrency right now, or they haven't gotten into it. Maybe they think, oh, well, it's too expensive. How can I afford an entire Bitcoin? A lot of people don't know that you can get fractions of Bitcoin, and that's kind of a disservice, I think, to everybody. So it goes on to say that it's needed now more than ever. If we can have this inside man, Jonathan Herzog, in Congress, other people will follow, but we have to be able to break in at least somewhat, so I think this is a very good step. Good on Jonathan Herzog. I think that both him and Andrew Yang, their policies have been great that have been released, and it would have been great to have the first cryptocurrency positive president in the White House. It's a shame that it may not happen this year. Hopefully it will happen in 4 years from now. But, who knows? Tell me your thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about Jonathan Herzog or Andrew Yang or anybody in government that's trying to get that is bullish on crypto, and if you think that it's going to be good for the ecosystem. This is another great article that I came across on Decrypt. The title is "From Retail to Big Sale: Bitcoin Exchanges Seeing Surging Growth in 2020." There's a lot of adoption that's being made. A lot of people, they may not understand it or they may not see it, but at least with the Bitcoin market, they're booming across crypto exchanges as new users are seeking exposure to Bitcoin and the coins in its orbit. So the breakdown that they have is that the Bitcoin market data shows that investors are putting more faith in the coin than ever before, and according to data from eToro and Binance, both have experienced sizable growth over the last year and the first quarter of 2020. Now, many of these users are new, small account holders, though institutional investors are coming on board as well. We know that Grayscale has been buying up a lot of Bitcoin that have been mined. I think Since the halving, they've tried to acquire, I think it was 1.5 times of the Bitcoin that were halved. And that is a very significant number. The article goes on to say that in the maelstrom of events that has become 2020, the refrains, "This is good for Bitcoin" and "Bitcoin fixes this" shibboleths of the Bitcoin community have increasingly come into focus. Now, as you and I know, 2020 has been a whirlwind of so many different events happening at the same time. It almost seems like the hits just won't stop coming. We've been getting battered since the start of the year, and, it's been half a year that has almost passed. So for all these institutional investors, as well as retail investors trying to get into the landscape, I think this is very bullish for Bitcoin. So they go on to say that this may be a new roaring 20s. So they see that in the United States, they see a surging interest, especially in Square's Cash App, which now you can actually, using Square's Cash App, you're able to buy cryptocurrency right from the app. You can say, okay, well, I want to buy $10 worth every week or every month or every day or what have you. Since this came out in May, this has been a great financial quarter for them. And so it seems that Bitcoin's purchases accounted for nearly a quarter of the company's $528 million in revenue. This is fantastic news for Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space to begin with, as a whole, I should say. And it seems like other exchanges are also basking in the retail fueled buying as well, with other platforms like eToro. So the retail brokerage service began providing cryptocurrency trading for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and others in April of last year. So since launching this new frontier for trading, crypto-seeking investors have flocked to the platform, particularly in the US. They go on to say that ever since December, we've seen a 300 to 400% increase in trading volume in the US for cryptocurrencies, as well as an 800% increase since May 2019. That was a quote from eToro US head Guy Hirsch, as told to Decrypt. So they said that this has accompanied a 270% increase in revenue and a 288% increase in newly funded accounts from January to May. Very, very bullish on crypto. People are starting to come in to the ecosystem and they're buying up different amounts. Like the article goes on to say, they're doing $10 or $100 or even the $1,000 range, Hirsch was saying. So eToro won't shy away from opening larger accounts with clients, but its focus on otherwise underserviced or ignored investors around the world is eToro's bread and butter. So they say we see legitimization across the board. The entire industry has seen a boom since the beginning of the year. There's a lot of other people that are getting into Bitcoin and Ethereum, including the institutions. So it says Binance, for example, has emerged from Black Thursday as an undisputed leader in Bitcoin's unregulated derivatives market. So while these derivatives can be traded by anyone with a Binance account, it also accommodates large account holders. Now, if you are in the US, you know that Binance had not been very friendly towards the US from their old platform. So they decided to say, okay, well, look, we have to have Binance that's good for the rest of the world. And then we have the Binance US version. The different regulations can be met without, Binance getting in trouble. So that's why they kind of split it up. So if you had a Binance account, the original account, and you were in the US, you knew that you had to kind of get your funds off that exchange in order to not lose them. Because if you still had them on that exchange, there was a very good chance that you lost them. I hope that you guys got them off in time. And maybe you've started up a Binance US account instead and started trading. I don't know. Why don't you tell me what your thoughts are on this piece of news? But again, the article is still very, very bullish on the ecosystem of what's happening in 2020, moving on. We've come a long way in the past few years. Just this year alone, they say that the number of new institutional clients onboarded in 2020 Q1 was 47.4% higher than in 2019 Q4. So just over the course of a few months, it has skyrocketed by 50%, almost 50% higher. So with these new signups comes an 113% growth in Binance's institutional spot markets and 217% on the futures end, Zhao said. Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao, if you know him, then a lot of them know him as CZ. You know, with Binance token and Binance, it almost sounds like he's kind of in the same league as Jeff Bezos when trying to be a world leader on being innovative. Or maybe I should say, he'd be closer to Elon Musk. Now here at the bottom of the article, we see that both eToro and Binance's growth reflects a larger trend in the industry. It goes on to say that for the postmortems for Black Thursday, retail buyers led Bitcoin's rally from $4,000 to $10,000. And if we look in the derivatives market, we see growth both from regulated and unregulated futures offering alike. Bitcoin futures offered by a Chicago Mercantile Exchange, for example, have continued to climb to new all-time high volumes in 2020, consistently clocking in just under or around $1 billion in a 24-hour volume. Now, if we go to this article over here on the Daily HODL, eerily accurate crypto analyst says Bitcoin breakout to $150,000 will begin on this date. Now, it shows that a series of charts, Dave the Wave, highlights Bitcoin's momentum inside a symmetrical triangle dating back to late 2017. It says that since Bitcoin failed to break above 10,300 earlier this week, Dave now expects Bitcoin to reach a low of about 6,500 in September before it finally breaks out of the trend for good by April 15th of next year. So, if this is accurate and this is true, that means you have one last chance in September to buy at the all-time lows, the most recent of lows at 6,500 before it goes out of that trend. And in about a year, we should never even see these kind of levels ever again. So Dave is closely followed in crypto circles because he's one of the few strategists who told traders back in June of 2019, when Bitcoin was trading for $13,000, to prepare for a significant correction. He predicted Bitcoin would fall to a low 6,000 range by the end of the year. Bitcoin ended up hitting a bottom of around $6,400 in December, and now he believes that preparing for a long-term parabolic rally to $150,000 will hit that peak sometime in the year 2023. So it gives you 3 years left before we get to $150,000, according to Dave the Wave. And we can see this chart that he has laid out right here, the top of which was around the end of 2017, early 2018, as you can see, when it hit almost $20,000 to a low which was almost $3,000 back in November, December of 2019. And I'm sure you guys remember that huge dump that whales did in that time, and they tried to do it again during the March dump that happened not too long ago. It seems like you have like another chance to get at least similar levels coming up in September, according to Dave the Wave. The next article I want to go over comes from Forbes. So they say that Accenture, IBM, Microsoft, NASDAQ, Digital Asset, and more are unveiling a new token standards association by the name of Interwork Alliance. So the new organization already has 36 members, including the aforementioned companies, like I said, Accenture, IBM, and Microsoft, but also banking exchange firms like ING, NASDAQ, SDX, and UBS, and blockchain companies like Digital Asset and Neo Global Development, Hedera Hashgraph, and R3. So these companies want to be able to create token-based business models without having a platform technology in mind. So for this approach to work, standards are urgently needed around defining what a token is and how its contractual behaviors will work. So it's almost kind of similar to the Hyperledger Fabric and blockchain technologies out there, where they're saying, well, look, like you don't have to have these tokens attached. Like you don't have to have a native currency attached to your blockchain platform if you don't want to. You can still use the same like privacy, transparency, and all the other goodies that come with blockchain. But, you can do it on your own terms. And that's one of the, that's one of the advantages of using, the different platforms that are similar to like Hyperledger Fabric, the Hyperledger, but you don't necessarily have to build it on the blockchain, on the Bitcoin blockchain or the Ethereum blockchain like others have done in the past. You could do your own. You could be able to, create the laws and contracts that you want on your own terms. And I think a lot of companies are seeing this as an opportunity to get into blockchain, but without getting into like the full blockchain that has been implemented in the past. They kind of want to just do their own thing. And I'm not too sure how I feel about this in the short term. In the long term, it may be great. I have no idea. But I do think that this is something that is worth exploring at the very least to see how it's going to fit in our ecosystem. And if other companies are going to give it a try and see how it goes, and it turns out to be great, then, I'm all for it. As long as we're able to have the kind of movement where we're doing away with fraud and we're doing away with people can just, edit whatever they want on different like servers, like changing numbers around or whatever. And there's no accountability. There's no, audibility. But, if they integrate blockchain technology, for those of you who do know or are familiar with cryptocurrency, you know that there is that paper trail that is being left. So, in the interview, there's two people that are involved with this. It is Jason Brett and Marley Gray. So, Jason, he asked, what is a token? Is it defined by cryptocurrencies? And so Marley goes to respond and says, well, the term token has gone mainstream due to cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and it's very important, but it doesn't have to be attached to anything monetarily or financial. As long as you have something that is worth counting, any numbers. So that could be how much stock you have in your inventory, for example, or, that could be like certain times, that are being recorded for whatever purpose. Like those things are, that are also part of tokens that can be utilized for, within a company using, different, platforms. So they go on to say, well, okay, so what is interworking? So why did you name it, the interworking alliance? So they define it as the state or an instance of two or more things working with or being made to work with each other. So by standardizing how token and values are defined in models and contracts, the IWA will foster the interworking needed to drive widespread adoption of tokenization, from carbon credits to movie tickets and more. It looks like this is their symbol right here, their logo, Interwork Alliance. They want to be able to make sure that they not only do they understand how to best utilize blockchain for their companies, but how best to develop an ecosystem that makes it auditable and all the other good stuff that come with blockchain technologies. Now, the last article I want to go over is this one about kakaotalk's new crypto product that saw 100,000 users on their first day. Kakaotalk, I'm not sure if you are familiar with, but it's a South Korean instant messaging corporation. They announced that its recently brand new cryptocurrency wallet feature took less than 1 day to gain 100,000 viewers. Okay, so they dubbed it Klip. The feature went live on June 3rd and saw the surge in users as soon as the new product was launched. 100,000 users make up only 2% of the application's 50 million total users. Now, Klip was developed by GroundX, offers a function for users to store and transfer Clayton-based blockchain applications across several technological platforms such as social networks, gaming, and online retail. They currently support 11 Clayton-based cryptocurrencies: Clay, Box, Pet, Pibble, Hint, Ent, Temco, Bins, Pixel, Insurium, and Cosm. To further this, they support a number of non-fungible tokens. They're trying to make sure that this is a platform for everybody. It's not just for people who are into Bitcoin or cryptocurrency ecosystem, but rather just anybody. It doesn't matter if you've never even heard of it before in the past. You're able to utilize the advantages of having it. So they're hoping that the Gen X is going to pave the way for both millennials and Gen Z. And with this, I think this is a great platform. I know that kakaotalk is very, very popular in South Korea. And with cryptocurrency already being popular in South Korea, this is just another way for widespread adoption to gain some more footing. So I think today I'm going to wrap it up. This is definitely like a new style of me doing videos. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this, everything that I've talked about today. If you have any thoughts about anything that I've said or anything that we've seen in the news, let me know what you guys think about everything that you saw today. My name is BDA, and until next time, stay bullish.